What's good with the YouTube of Convicts Perspective? It's your boy Flacco coming live and direct with my co-host Senor Rojo, sliding through with a little bit of energy this morning, man. How's everybody doing out there, man? So in the last couple of weeks, we've been discussing a lot of different cases with gang enhancements and just how the judicial system works and trying to add enhancements to add, it's basically leverage that they're using, you know what I'm saying, to build cases against individuals and add enhancements, I'm a firm believer that whatever you're charged with, you know what I'm saying, that's where the case should stand. Whether it be a drug possession case, firearms, whatever it may be, all these gang enhancements are landing people more and more in prison. The population in prison has gone down, I think, from 165,000 to 119,000. But we have a 40% increase in inmates who are doing time based upon gang enhancements. So this is a big issue that's going on. So the majority of these people who are locked up for these long sentences, whether it be possession or a firearm, what could have been like a 3-year sentence is turning into like 10, 15-year sentences just for the gang enhancement alone, man. So there's some new legislation coming out, and we're going to discuss it. This is something that, that the listeners out there, man, if you're still living in that lifestyle, you need to think about, because the system is not there to help you. So I'm going to let Rojo go on from here.
All right, man. This bill is called AB 333, AB 333, and it was introduced to the Assembly sometime earlier this year, and it passed the Assembly just on June 3rd of this year. It's still got to go before the Senate and the governor. However, people pump up these gang crimes so much, man. It's there's a good chance it'll pass. You know what I mean? Even with the Democrat-run Senate in California. But it's called the Participation in the Criminal Street Gang Enhanced Sentence Act. Abstract. Existing law makes it a crime punishable as either a misdemeanor or a felony to actively participate in a criminal street gang with knowledge that its members engage in or have engaged in, that's a key term, a pattern of criminal gang activity, and to actively promote, further, or assist in felonious criminal conduct by members of that gang. Not just you, but members of that gang. Existing law provides for an enhanced sentence as specified for a person who is convicted of a crime committed for the benefit of, at the direction of, or in association with a criminal street gang, with the specific intent to promote, further, or assist in criminal conduct by the gang members. Existing law defines pattern of criminal gang activity for this purpose as the commission of, attempted commission of, conspiracy to commit, or solicitation of, sustained juvenile position for, or conviction of 2 or more of a list of specified offenses, provided at least one of these offenses occurred after the effective date of this chapter, and the last of those offenses occurred within 3 years after a prior offense, and the offenses were committed on separate occasions or by 2 or more persons. It's kind of complicated, but that's the way they write these things, so the average person can't understand them either. Under existing law, the specified offenses to form a pattern of criminal gang activity include, among others, burglary, looting, felony vandalism, and various personal identity fraud crimes. Now you see how they're taking this down to lower level criminal activity as well. So try to group this into gang related stuff, man. Before it was murder, robbery, extortion, the typical RICO predicates. They're trying to add burglary, looting, vandalism, and personal identity fraud crimes. Crazy. This bill would also require that the crimes committed to form a pattern of criminal gang activity have commonly benefited a criminal street gang, and that the common benefit from the offenses be more than reputational as specified. The bill would remove looting, felony vandalism, and specified personal identity fraud violations from the crimes that define a pattern of criminal gang activity. This bill would prohibit the use of the currently charged crime to prove the pattern of criminal gang activity. This bill would require, if requested by the defense in a case where a sentencing enhancement for participation in a criminal street gang is charged, that the defendant's guilt of the underlying offense first be proved, and that a further proceeding of the sentencing enhancement occur after a finding of guilt. The bill would require that a charge for active participation in a criminal street gang be tried separately from all the other counts that do not otherwise require gang evidence as an element of the crime.
Well, you know what they're doing there, right?
Of course,
More money.
no doubt. They're going to get all kinds of special government funding to persecute this and prosecute that. And yeah, I mean, 100%. For the purpose of the enhancement, existing laws define criminal street gang, listen to this, you guys, as an ongoing organization, association, or a group of 3 or more persons, whether formal or informal. That's important too. Having as one of its primary activities the commission of one or more of the enumerated criminal acts, having a common name or common identifying sign or symbol, and whose members individually or collectively engage in or have engaged in a pattern of criminal gang activity. Now, for all the people that were trying to debate MC versus gang, and like I said, it's just terminology on my part. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. Rewind that and listen to that again for me if you don't mind. The bill instead would define criminal street gang as an ongoing organized organization or group of 3 or more, whether formal or informal, having as one of its primary activities the commission of one or more of the enumerated criminal acts, having a common name or common identifying sign or symbol, and whose members collectively engaged in or have engaged in a pattern of criminal activity. Existing law until January 1st of 22 requires the court, when applying the enhancement, to select the sentence that best serves the interest of justice. Yeah, that ever happens.
No.
Existing law and on or after January 1st, 22 requires the court to instead order the imposition of the middle term of the sentence enhancement unless there are circumstances in aggravation or mitigation. Why not the low? Why does it have to order the medium? The bill would extend to January 1st, 23, the requirement that the court select the sentence that best serves the interest of justice. That wraps up the reading of that article, and this is from openstates.org. And it's right out of AB 333. So, I mean, that sums it up. But for all you guys that debate on whether something is a gang or isn't a gang, I'm not going to play semantics with you. I'm just going strictly by what the government says, because when I attempt to make these spiels to try to open your eyes as to what you're potentially getting yourself into, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, you're a club, you're an association, you guys do good for old people. I'm not going to do all that. I'm going to tell you how it is and how they're going to come after you. And all those things that they're going to come after you for, like I told you, everything I've told you is right there. So all the debate and whatever, that's fine. You know what I mean? You can say whatever you want, but this is how they identify a gang member when they take you to court. And these are the things that I'm trying to help you prevent. I'm not trying to, make anybody's feelings feel better about what I call anything. You know what I mean? Like I said, that's just how I phrase things. But this is what's going to get you. So consider yourself a club, consider yourself a group of caring citizens, but whatever. But individually or collectively, if somebody in your club or your knitting club or your bridge tournament is doing a crime and you identify with them and you wear that jacket, you wear that paño, you wear whatever, you're going to jail.
Yeah, this law is not playing around, man. They're trying to make it even more able to make cases stick against individuals. You know what I mean? And a lot of they've been doing this for years, man. And what they do is they add these enhancements and they use those for plea bargaining purposes. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get caught with a dope possession case. You're looking at maybe 16, 2, and 3 back in the days. A firearm, 16, 2, and 4. You know what I'm saying? Now in the commission of a gang, being a participated gang member, now you're looking at that 4 years. You're looking at 2 years on top of another 5 or 10 for that gang enhancement. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that you just touched on, man, that really is interesting is they want to give the midterm. And the thing about this law is it doesn't put no stipulations of what those terms are going to be. It doesn't say how much you're going to be sentenced to. They could put anything that they want on that. And that's the thing with these laws. They could be written a certain way, right? And you could interpret it one way. Another person can interpret it another way. But it's what the judge is going to enforce. It's a judge's interpretation of how they want to apply these laws. So whatever type of defense you try to present yourself, or what type of shepherdizing your case law, I mean, we did all that stuff, man. I mean, we could read the black and white, and we could still sit there and approach it and with legal technicalities and try to address it in our briefs and in our, filing our habeas corpus and do that, and we could still get shut down. It's however the judge wants to apply these laws, man. That's the messed up thing about legislation when they pass. They could say one thing, but how it is applicable towards law is how the judge sees fit. In counties like Santa Clara County, Contra Costa County, man, they're going to railroad you. They're going to interpret that law any way they want. And once you're sentenced in the court of law by a jury or you take a deal, there's nothing you could do about it. That judge has that final say. It's their discretion of how they want to interpret the law. That's how case appeals get won. One judge may think something different how this law applies than this one. That's how you fight these cases. But when you have a law like this that is in such broad terms, there's a whole different way you can.
Yeah, hey. Sorry about that, YouTube. We had to pause for a second. But the point I wanted to make is, you notice in that law, they say, have engaged in, other members may have engaged in. You don't necessarily have to have engaged in any kind of those criminal predicates. Your group, your association, your gang, whatever you guys want to label it as, could have done it in the past. You know what I mean? It could be whatever. You do it, your group gets caught up with it again, and you happen to have the common identifiers that they're claiming, you're going to get looked at as having participated in them things in the past as well. Period. I mean, they're going to bring all that stuff up in court. That's the thing with these RICO cases, these gang enhancements. They can go back. They can go back as far as they want and talk about how your gang, group, club has done these following things over the years. And even though you're not on trial for that, what do you think a jury's going to think when they hear about 400 murders that your group has, committed since September of '68? What do you think? That's these shootouts at a casino that they bring up, that these people, these grand jury people, might not even have never heard of. You know what I mean? They watch fishing shows and shit. They're gonna wallop you, bro. Straight up.
It's like that case we did, Operation Red October, bro. You know what I mean? I personally know every one of those persons, man. I've talked to people afterwards who are still active, man. They said that none of those dudes, there was only 2 that were bros. One just got pulled 6 months before, and he found out he had a funny style charge on his jacket. Those dudes were not even involved in the game like that, man. And I doubt any of those individuals was even in contact with people like Chuco or anything like that. They still use certain things to indict these people, man. They're not playing the system, man. This is something for everybody to understand. I mean, anybody that's came out, I know there's a lot of people, these RICO cases, man, and they've all said the same thing to us over and over again, man. They railroaded this. They use certain things as leverage to categorize these individuals as gang members. You know what I'm saying? Now, bear in mind, that's just something that you need to take in consideration when whatever you're doing, who you're associating with, what type of business activities you're doing out there, man. Like I reiterate all the time, I'm not a promoter of gangs or that criminal lifestyle, drug usage or any of that, man. But for those that are out there that are still in the mix, you need to consider what you're doing with your life. You know what I'm saying? Because the consequences now, they're not playing. A simple case nowadays, where years ago you maybe do 16 months, 2 years and get out. Now you're looking at 8 to 12 years. You know what I'm saying? At 85%. Because not only do these enhancements, you're not getting no halftime. It seems like everybody else, you know what I mean? All these people with funny style charges or these low end dope fiends that are on the mix, they get to go in there, they're getting county time or 16 months or 2 years and they're getting kicked out. But if you're categorized as a gang member or even believed to be associated with one, the consequences, man, are high.
Look at how they prosecute the hyenas and stuff that are just sending letters and money orders and, doing 3-way calls and stuff. If you think for any minute they're not going to go after a man, who just associates with some homies after the way they go after these females that are mothers and stuff like that, you're living in a fantasy, man. You can never go into court not knowing the potential consequences of what they have you charged with. You're going to go in there and you're going to be like, what do you mean my low term's 15 years. That's what your low term is, bro. You know what I mean? And guess what happens, man? You low level people that aren't with the business, you're either gonna eat that 15 or your history, bro. That's all. Like we tell you, prison, mortuary. Those are the two things that are gonna happen to you. Straight up.
Yeah, or drop out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are the only alternatives that you're seeing with this lifestyle. And because these gang enhancements have really, you know, and SNY, they've had a lot to do with the changes, man, and in that whole push and whole movement, man. Because I mean, if you're out there just trying to hustle to survive, therefore you align with certain individuals out in the streets that have those resources to give you what you need. And but based upon you just trying to survive out there, you're looking at 12 to 20 years. People are going to think about taking that 12 to 20 years. That's just the reality of it, man. You know what I mean? Very few are taking it on the chin.
Hey, there's a lot of people out there talking about, oh yeah, them guys rode it out to trial. They're super down. They didn't fold. Man, 90% of them people already got life, brother. You know what I mean? That's a no-brainer. If I would have got a life term, I'd be somewhere running a federal institution right now. Straight up. And that's just facts. There comes to the point where you have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're gonna ride it all the way out to the end of trial. That way, you know, your CIs get disclosed, all your grand jury informants and all that. Yeah, of course, you might as well. Because what's gonna happen? Even if you testify, you're not going home. The best your best you're gonna get is a safe yard somewhere. That's the best you're gonna get. You're still sitting in there the rest of your life.
You know, a high-ranking NF member once told me this, right? And this sat home with me. I think I mentioned this before, right? I was talking about one of his boys that had flipped during Operation Black Widow, and what he told me word for word is, you know, this is expected. You know what I'm saying? Those of us that are already doing life, because he has a life sense, he goes, this is my life. This is all I have. This is all I know. You know what I mean? But for those that are in that rank and file, you know what I'm saying? Our whole key is to utilize them for as long as we can until we know eventually a lot of them are going to flip.
Yep.
And that was the realest remark that I've ever heard, man, because he was keeping it 100 with me. He goes, you expect people to flip. He goes, you know, that's my boy. He told me, he goes, I got love for him. Did he tell? Yeah. But it is what it is. He goes, we expect it.
Yeah.
This is my life. My life isn't out there in the free world. He got action to go home. Of course he's going to roll over. You know what I'm saying? And that was the realest remark that I ever heard from someone who's a high-ranking member currently at this time.
If you want to get into percents, man, the percents of people who take deals and cop out that aren't already doing life, that are still on good terms, we're talking less than 1% ever. And that's just facts. You know what I mean? You know, you got action at going home, or you feel like your name's already suspicious or something. They're going to start talking about some stuff you're not going to want to hear. And you can sit there and lie to yourself, be like, oh, I'm about the cause and I'm about this and that. History doesn't support your argument, brother.
Well, the cause was supposed to be for the betterment of the people, right? So let me ask you a question, Rojo. For these people out there who are just getting out, right, and have that temptation to go back to that lifestyle, or these youngsters out there that are still gang banging and are starting to get deeper and deeper in the mix, starting to hustle, starting to do licks, what is your suggestion for them for a solution for their life, man? Because that's something we have to present in these spills, man. We know what the consequences are. What do you feel the solutions are we could teach these people, or not necessarily teach them, but give them the suggestions so they could take their life in a different direction?
What I would suggest, bro, straight up, find family or friends that's in the area out of your hood. Move in with them, get you a job, save your money, start a life, find you a hyena, get a family. Continue educating yourself or bettering yourself in your field. Get a career. Raise a family. You know what I mean? If you want to smoke Yeska, no big deal. You want to have a drink on Friday, no big deal. But all the stuff that you're doing right now, it doesn't have a future. You know what I mean? It has a future for less than 1% of the people who have ever been involved in it throughout history. And the numbers don't lie, bro. And then people, man, you get busted just, man, you've never been to prison. You're not a soldado. You're not nothing. You pass some wheelers to somebody, they get caught with them. They say where they got them. Now you're a member of an organized crime family, brother. That's just straight up.
It's that addiction to the lifestyle. It's that addiction lifestyle, and it's that instant gratification that comes with being a gang member or engaging in crimes.
Yeah.
And people need to stop thinking that way. I mean, a lot of times when we get out, man, we don't want to go get that job at Home Depot or Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we got to play our position and capitalize when we can. Get into the union. Use that same mouthpiece and those verbal skills and PR skills that you learn writing those long essays and those studying the thesaurus in there and the dictionary and these words and, you know, doing your habeas corpus and tort claims in there. Use all those verbal skills and writing skills to go out there and apply them to get into a union job. If you're a real convict with a convict mentality, you should have a public relations skills to where you can go in there and sell yourself. You know what I'm saying? Go into a union and try to get in the job. I mean, the union is the way to go.
Hey, I'm going to tell you guys straight up. When I joined the union that I'm in, it's Local 68L. It's the Lathers Union. I do metal stud framing and drywall. I had never done that in my life. I went in that union. I got hired as a journeyman. This is back in 1990 something, 99 or maybe early 2000. I got hired as a journeyman making $28 an hour at the time. Right now, if I strapped on my tool bags, I could go to work right now making 60. You know what I mean? I don't need that right now and I'm focused on other stuff, but it's right there. You know what I mean? I use my verbal skills to convince them that I'm the best framer they ever seen. I never touched metal. I took architectural metal. I never did metal stuff framing. I couldn't read blueprints. I couldn't do layout. I couldn't do takeoff. They thought I was their next superintendent. You know what I mean? So you can do it. Does anybody want to go to work and bust their butt for cheap? No. But you got to use that as a stepping stone to build yourself up to the next step. You know, the next step might not be all that. You might make, you know, squad leader, shift leader, something like that in your employment. But then guess what? Then you keep selling yourself, you keep improving. Now you're a manager. And all this comes into money that they can't take away, that nobody's investigating. You're not going to jail. You're not facing all these things. And believe it or not, you're going to have a lot more respect in society as a whole. And society as a whole is 99%. The gang world's 1%. That's it. Do you want to be respected as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a provider? Or do you want to be respected because you could sell some dope? You know, I don't know, bro. I don't get it. I had the same mentality. Don't get me wrong. But I learned. You know what I mean? Through it, man, it cost me 14 something years of my life. A lot of shoe time, a lot of hold time, a lot of work I had to put in, a lot of fights, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of charges, a lot of detectives. But I got there. Before you go thinking that you're this down ass gangster from your hood, no, they got something waiting for you in them juries and them judges, bro. Straight up. Don't let ignorance get you 20 something years.
Yeah, and to further elaborate, you got to surround yourself with positive people, man. You know what I mean? Not everybody has surround yourself with those who have the same thing to lose as you and don't want to lose that. When you surround yourself with a crowd like that, man, you're going to be going in the right direction. There's nothing wrong with keeping tabs of the homeboys. We're not telling you to even go SNY, go inactive, stay active or not. You can parole and do the right things as an active member of your hood. There's nothing wrong with that. But you take control of your life and do the right things out there in society. You know what I'm saying? Life is so much better when you learn to live it on life's terms. Like I said, too many people want that instant gratification of having that money and living that lifestyle, but you got to stop and play the tape out. You know what I mean? And like, go ahead, bro.
Used to a lot of 90, man, there's only less than 1% of everybody in, you know, the Northern cause who's ever made it to be, you know, a big homie. I didn't have no choice about just going home and riding off into the sunset and going to start a career and taking care of my children. You guys still do. There's still options. You know what I mean? There's very few of us who weren't left with the options to just ride, like I said, ride off into the sunset, get you a career. The thing I don't understand is you gentlemen that are fathers that are still in the lifestyle. That's just greedy to me, bro. You brought life into this world. You're responsible to nurture that life and make sure that life is successful. You know what I mean? And you're still doing the same old gang stuff. You got to graduate, bro. You have to graduate. If you're a single dude, 20 something years old, I get it. 100%. Don't think I don't. I was there too. You can't be greedy, bro. It's not all about you once you have children. It's not about you at all.
No, not at all.
Family. Do you want them doing the same thing you do, sitting in Pelican Bay, having you have to go 500 miles to go visit them? have to use all the hard-earned money that you make to make sure that they get their little $35 a month? Come on, man. You guys know
Yeah.
better than that.
You think all these hierarchy, brass leadership, right? You think they really want their kids to follow in their footsteps?
Not at all.
No,
They want the same thing any father does.
exactly.
Unless
so
something's wrong with you in your brain. You know, you're all KJ'd out, bro. You destroyed yourself. You know, and don't get me wrong, there's some homies that they can't wait till their son's a homeboy and shit. Give your kid up for adoption. You don't deserve that child.
Yeah. And if you about betterment of the people, right? Think about your actions out there in the streets, man. Pushing dope, committing crimes. Are you really contributing positive to your community? Are you really setting a positive example for your kids, your nephews? You know what I mean? Your younger brother. We need to think of our actions, man. And this is key, man. I mean, this, you know, a lot of times we tell you guys, you know, certain things that are going on in the mix, war stories, different articles, but we always have to convey a message to you guys, man. And the bottom line is live your life. Live your life and live a positive one.
And this law right here, among the 4 or 5 others they have that are just like this, these laws were designed for the Italian mafia killers, bro. People who take a damn Tommy gun and wipe out 15 people at a time. They're not really designed for little Sleepy from Southside Stockton that has an ounce, bro, and sells teens. But they flipped it in a way to make it about little Sleepy, bro. Don't be little Sleepy, bro. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, straight up, man. They got something for you, man. And you got these, like Flacco said, these 16 2s and 3s. Let's make it 16 years starting off, brother. I'm telling you. I've been in them detective rooms where they were talking about 18 years at 85% is my low. And I didn't do nothing to nobody. I had a chopper in the trunk, bro. Just think about it, brothers and sisters.
I think that was it for this topic, man. I think we touched on it. I think we present a positive message, man. We got to do these sometimes, man.
I got one last thing, Flacco. Hey, this is in no way a shot at anybody who's still out there active. Because my firm suggestion is if you're involved in this, to ride it through to the end, get out on good terms so you don't have to look over your shoulder, handle your business inside. You made that mistake, do it. You know what I mean? So it's no shot. It's nothing against the cause. But just change yourself before the time runs out. Much love and respect to everybody out there, man. One of us will probably be going live later.